Hollywood was buzzing with excitement that evening. The city lights were bright, the cameras flashing, and fans lining the streets, hoping for a glimpse of their favorite stars. Inside a prestigious industry event, the atmosphere was glamorous yet tense, with celebrities chatting, laughing, and posing for photos. But amidst the glitz, an unusual energy began to ripple through the room. Jason Statham, known for his calm but confident demeanor and legendary action roles, walked into the hall. He moved with purpose, scanning the room with that familiar intensity fans had come to recognize. His presence alone commanded attention, and whispers began spreading among the onlookers. People nudged each other, pointing, realizing a moment of cinematic tension was about to unfold in real life. Then, in the opposite corner, Steven Seagal stood, already the center of attention. Surrounded by his entourage, he carried the aura of a seasoned martial artist and Hollywood veteran. His posture was calm, almost serene, but there was a quiet strength in the way he observed the room. The subtle glances he gave towards Statham didn't go unnoticed. As the two stars locked eyes from across the hall, the chatter faded. The room seemed to hold its breath. There was no shouting, no dramatic gestures, just an intense, almost electric silence. Every person in the room could sense the weight of the moment. Something was about to happen, and no one wanted to blink. Jason took a step forward, his expression neutral yet focused. Seagal's gaze followed, steady and unwavering. Around them, fans and attendees whispered among themselves, realizing that two legends of action cinema were silently sizing each other up. Every movement was scrutinized, every subtle shift in stance magnified. No one knew if this would escalate into a verbal exchange or remain a tense standoff. But one thing was clear. The air was charged with anticipation. This wasn't just a casual meeting. It was a moment that would be remembered, and everyone present knew they were witnessing the first chapter of a Hollywood encounter that was about to stun the world. And then, just as the room was holding its collective breath, Jason made his first subtle move. Little did anyone know, this simple gesture would ignite a chain of events that no one, not even the fans or the stars themselves, could have predicted. No one expected these two legends to cross paths, but what happened next shocked everyone. The air in the room had grown heavier. What started as casual conversations and laughter now felt charged with anticipation. Everyone was aware of Jason Statham and Steven Seagal, but few had ever imagined the two would be in the same room at the same time, let alone this close. The energy was palpable, almost electric. Jason moved with his usual calm confidence, eyes scanning the room with quiet precision. He wasn't looking to start a fight or show off. He was simply walking, observing, aware of every presence around him. But when his gaze landed on Seagal, the subtle shift in the atmosphere was immediate. Conversations died down, whispers spread like wildfire, and people instinctively pulled out their phones, hoping to capture the moment. Steven Seagal, ever composed, noticed the shift in energy as well. He had been accustomed to attention for decades, but something about Jason's approach made him pause. It wasn't aggression. It was calm authority combined with the silent confidence of someone who had faced countless challenges on screen and off. Seagal's eyes narrowed just slightly, studying Jason's movements with careful precision. Then, something subtle happened that most people might have missed if they weren't paying close attention. Jason's hand shifted slightly, almost imperceptibly, signaling his awareness and readiness. Seagal's response was equally subtle. A small step forward, a barely there adjustment in stance, a quiet but undeniable acknowledgement that he had noticed the challenge. The room seemed to sense it too. Every whisper, every gaze, every camera lens focused on the two legends. Fans and attendees started murmuring to each other, some wide-eyed in disbelief. Is this really happening? Are they about to? Phones were raised higher, trying to catch every angle of this silent standoff. The tension was growing, and the audience knew that this was no ordinary celebrity encounter. And for all of you watching right now, I want to know, where are you watching from? Which country or city is catching this epic moment live? Type it in the comments. It's incredible to see people from all over the world experiencing this together. Back in a room, the intensity continued to build. Jason's presence wasn't loud, but it was commanding. He didn't speak. He didn't move erratically. Every action was deliberate. Seagal's reaction mirrored this calm intensity. Neither of them raised their voice, yet the silent tension was louder than any shout could have been. Some people in the crowd began speculating. Are they about to have a verbal face-off? Or is this just a stare-down? The beauty of the moment was that no one could predict what would happen next. Every person in that hall knew they were witnessing history, not through a movie scene, but live, real-time in front of their eyes. And while the crowd held its collective breath, Jason finally made a subtle move, a nod, a small step closer, a gesture that seemed innocent but carried the weight of a silent challenge. Seagal, unsurprisingly, noticed immediately. His eyes flicked toward Jason, and the briefest of smirks appeared on his face. A tiny shift, but the crowd erupted internally with anticipation. What started as an ordinary evening had transformed into a Hollywood moment that no one would forget. The energy in the room was electric. The stakes were unspoken but understood, and everyone knew the next moments would define this encounter. The challenge had been issued silently, but everyone in the room could feel it, and no one knew what would happen next. The atmosphere in the hall had shifted completely. What began as polite curiosity among Hollywood insiders had become an almost tangible tension, the kind that made people pause mid-conversation. Every glance, every subtle gesture between Jason Statham and Steven Seagal was being noticed, analyzed, and recorded. Cameras clicked, phones raised, and the crowd instinctively formed a small circle around the two legends. Jason stood firm, his posture relaxed yet deliberate, exuding that quiet confidence fans had come to expect from his action-packed roles. He wasn't trying to intimidate, but his calm authority alone drew attention. Every step he took, every movement of his eyes, signaled awareness and readiness, a silent message that he was fully present in the moment. Seagal, for his part, was equally composed. His calm exterior concealed an intensity that only those familiar with his career could recognize. He didn't shout or move aggressively, but his focus was razor-sharp, analyzing Jason's every subtle motion. He had been in countless high-stakes situations both on-screen and off, yet this encounter had a different energy, something unpredictable. The crowd around them grew restless. Whispers spread like wildfire. They're sizing each other up. I can't believe this is happening live. Who will make the first move? Fans were on the edge of their seats, phones recording, as the two legends maintained a near-perfect balance of calmness and intensity. And then it happened, the first verbal exchange. Jason leaned slightly forward, his tone steady and controlled, not loud, but carrying a weight of unspoken confidence. Thought I'd say hello before things get interesting. Seagal's eyes narrowed fractionally. He didn't answer immediately, letting the tension hang in the air for a moment that felt much longer than it actually was. Then, with the faintest smile, he replied, calm but firm. Interesting is exactly the word I'd use. The crowd collectively held their breath. The exchange was brief, subtle, almost polite on the surface, but beneath it, the challenge was unmistakable. Both men were testing each other, aware of the silent game being played. Every slight shift in stance, every blink, every breath was being scrutinized. People around began recording more aggressively, realizing that this wasn't just a casual celebrity encounter. Security staff watched cautiously, unsure if they should intervene or let the moment unfold naturally. Fans whispered, laughed nervously, and speculated in hushed tones, sensing that something historic was taking place right in front of them. And here's a question for you watching right now. If you were standing in this room, seeing two legends of action cinema silently challenging each other, what would you do? Comment below your reaction. Are you the type to step back, stay quiet, or jump into the excitement? Meanwhile, Jason maintained his composure. He shifted just slightly, making a subtle but deliberate step closer, not to intimidate, but to communicate focus and confidence. Seagal's gaze followed every inch, his stance remaining steady, unwavering. The room seemed to pulse with the energy of anticipation, the kind that makes everyone feel like a moment of history is unfolding. The tension kept rising. There was no shouting, no dramatic gestures, just a perfectly silent and carefully calculated standoff between two legends who had each mastered their craft in very different ways. Yet the emotional pressure on everyone watching was enormous. Each second stretched, every small move magnified, and the crowd instinctively knew that the next action could define the encounter. Finally, a soft laugh broke the silence. Seagal, recognizing the subtle intensity of Jason's presence, exhaled quietly, a tiny acknowledgement that he respected the challenge without needing to escalate it. Jason responded with a faint nod, a gesture of mutual awareness. Even in this subtle, silent confrontation, the emotional stakes were high. Everyone watching felt the tension, the anticipation, and the sheer magnetism of two masters of their craft facing off in a Hollywood moment that would be remembered long after the event. Neither of them spoke loudly, yet the tension in the room screamed louder than anything anyone could say, and everyone knew the next moment could change everything. The room had transformed. What had begun as a quiet, tense standoff between two Hollywood legends was now capturing the attention of everyone in attendance. Conversations had ceased entirely. Phones were raised high, recording every subtle movement and facial expression. There was a shared understanding in the crowd. They were witnessing a moment that would be talked about for years. Jason Statham remained calm and composed. Every move, every subtle shift in his stance carried an almost magnetic authority. He wasn't trying to show off. He wasn't acting out a scene. He was simply present, fully aware of the room, fully aware of Seagal, fully aware of the history and reputation behind every action both men had taken on screen. Steven Seagal mirrored this calm intensity. His eyes tracked Jason's movements with precision, but his demeanor remained controlled, almost serene. There was no shouting, no aggression. Yet everyone in the room felt the tension vibrating through the air like electricity. This wasn't a performance. It was a silent exchange of respect, challenge, and presence. Then it happened. The first whispers began to circulate through the crowd. Someone gasped softly, barely audible, but enough to start a ripple effect. Wait, that's Jason Statham. Heads turned. Phones raised higher. Conversations were replaced by murmurs of disbelief. And that's Steven Seagal. The recognition spread quickly. Everyone suddenly realized that these weren't just two famous actors casually meeting. This was a collision of two generations of action cinema legends, a moment that felt bigger than the event itself. The crowd began to shift subtly, forming a small, respectful circle around the two men. People edged closer, trying to get a better view, while remaining careful not to intrude on the silent tension. Eyes widened, whispers escalated, and some attendees began quietly speculating what might happen next. Would it remain a standoff? Would there be a verbal exchange? Or would one of them make the first move? Jason noticed the shift in attention, but didn't break his focus on Seagal. His posture remained relaxed, yet every gesture was deliberate, calculated, measured. He didn't need to assert dominance. The calm confidence alone was enough to hold the room's attention. Seagal, too, did not flinch. He allowed the crowd's recognition to pass, letting the silent tension between him and Jason remain the center of focus. What made the scene extraordinary wasn't just the standoff itself, but the crowd's reaction. People started quietly recording, phones capturing angles from every direction. Whispers grew into small, audible conversations. This is insane. I can't believe this is happening live. They're both masters. I've never seen anything like this. Even event staff paused for a moment, realizing that this encounter had grown far beyond the usual Hollywood photo opportunities. And for everyone watching right now, imagine being in that room. If you were witnessing two action legends silently challenging each other in real life, what would be your reaction? Comment below. Would you stay calm, step back, or try to get a closer look? Meanwhile, Jason and Seagal maintained a perfect balance of focus and composure. Their subtle gestures, measured movements, and quiet acknowledgement of each other's presence continued to electrify the audience. Every slight step, every tiny nod, every small shift of weight sent waves of anticipation through the room. The energy was intense, silent, but undeniable. By now, the whispers had reached almost everyone present. Two action icons, silently testing each other, commanding attention without raising a voice. The room collectively recognized the gravity of the moment. What was happening wasn't staged. This was real, and the crowd's excitement only added to the tension, amplifying every movement, every glance. And as the minutes stretched, everyone knew one thing for certain. The next subtle move, the next reaction, would define how this legendary encounter would be remembered. The crowd realized they were witnessing history, a silent showdown between two action legends, and no one could predict what would happen next. The energy in the room had reached a tipping point. Whispers, once soft, now buzzed like electricity through the crowd. Every phone was recording, capturing the silent tension between Jason Statham and Steven Seagal. People could feel it in the air. This was no ordinary celebrity encounter. This was something larger, something historic. Jason shifted slightly, not aggressively, but enough to signal focus. He maintained his relaxed, confident stance. Every movement was deliberate. A step forward, a subtle adjustment of weight, a glance that conveyed awareness and respect all at once. The crowd leaned in, sensing the build-up to the moment they had all been waiting for. Seagal's reaction mirrored Jason's intensity. He didn't shout, he didn't rush forward, but every detail of his posture suggested that he, too, was fully engaged. His calm exterior was a mask, a controlled force that could react instantly if needed. The silent dialogue between these two action icons had the room hanging on every subtle cue. Then Jason spoke, his voice low, calm, yet commanding. "It's rare to see someone with your reputation in the same space. I figured I'd acknowledge it before things get interesting." Seagal's eyes followed Jason, and for the first time, he allowed a small, knowing smile to form. He replied evenly, "Interesting indeed. But the question is, who defines how interesting?" The subtle exchange sent a ripple through the crowd. It wasn't a fight, it wasn't hostility, but the weight behind their words, the tension in their stances, was undeniable. Everyone in the room could feel it, the kind of palpable energy that comes from witnessing two masters quietly testing each other's boundaries. Security staff glanced nervously at one another. They weren't sure whether to intervene or let the moment unfold naturally. The crowd sensed their hesitation, leaning in even more, phones held high to capture what might be a once-in-a-lifetime encounter. Jason made a subtle step closer, closing the invisible gap without aggression. The slight movement communicated awareness, focus, and respect simultaneously. Seagal didn't flinch. Instead, he mirrored Jason's subtle adjustment, showing that he, too, was fully aware of the dynamics unfolding in real time. The audience held its breath. Every whisper, every slight shift, every silent movement was amplified by the tension in the room. Some fans exchanged excited glances, realizing that what they were seeing wasn't a performance, wasn't scripted, it was authentic. Two action legends, communicating silently through posture, gaze, and timing. And for those watching right now, if you were standing in this room, watching two action legends test each other with silent authority, what would you do? Type your reaction in the comments. Would you step back, try to capture the moment, or just stay frozen in awe? The standoff continued, a delicate dance of focus and awareness. Jason's gaze never wavered. Seagal's posture remained solid. Every bystander could feel the unspoken respect and challenge in the air. It wasn't about proving who was stronger or faster. It was about presence, mastery, and the silent assertion of skill and confidence. Minutes passed, stretching longer than anyone expected. The subtle exchanges, a nod, a glance, a measured breath, conveyed more than words ever could. The crowd's anticipation reached a fever pitch. Everyone knew something significant was about to happen, even though no one could predict exactly what. Finally, a subtle shift in Jason's stance, barely noticeable, hinted at the next phase of the encounter. Seagal's eyes followed, and the smallest smirk appeared on his face, an acknowledgement that the silent challenge was understood. The room seemed to collectively exhale, yet the tension remained, ready to escalate with the next move. The tension had reached its peak, two action legends, silently confronting each other, and every person in the room knew the next moment would define the story forever. The room was electric. Everyone had been holding their breath, watching the silent tension stretch longer than expected. Phones were held high, recording every subtle movement. The air seemed to hum with anticipation. No one had spoken loudly, yet the energy was louder than any shout could be. Then, something unexpected happened. Seagal shifted slightly, a barely noticeable gesture, but enough to signal that he had fully registered Jason's calm authority. In that instant, a small ripple of realization ran through the crowd. People started whispering to each other. "Did you see that? He's responding differently than anyone expected. This isn't just a standoff, something is about to happen." Jason, reading Seagal's subtle signal, mirrored it with a slight nod, not confrontational, but acknowledging the unspoken understanding between them. The room seemed to pause, as if time itself had slowed. The two legends had communicated silently, and everyone watching could sense the shift in energy. Suddenly, a member of Seagal's entourage stepped forward discreetly, whispering to him. Seagal's eyes widened slightly, a rare, subtle reaction that didn't go unnoticed. The crowd picked up on it instantly. Gasps and murmurs spread. Wait, did he just realize something? Is he about to change his stance? The subtle twist in the dynamic sent waves of excitement through the audience. Jason remained composed, observing Seagal's reaction without changing his own stance. His calm demeanor only amplified the tension, making the crowd even more eager to see what would happen next. And for everyone watching this video, have you ever witnessed someone instantly realize they miscalculated a situation? Type yes or no in the comments. Let us know how you would react in a moment like this. As the silence stretched, Seagal finally responded with a quiet, controlled gesture, a nod, a small smile, and a subtle acknowledgement of Jason's presence and focus. The crowd erupted quietly in reaction, not with cheers, but with audible gasps, whispered excitement, and the rapid clicking of cameras. Every person in the room could feel the shift. The tables had turned, not through aggression, but through calm, controlled presence and awareness. The audience, now fully aware of what was unfolding, leaned in even closer. Phones captured every angle, fans whispered among themselves, and even event staff paused to watch the subtle drama play out. This wasn't a fight. It wasn't a confrontation in the traditional sense. It was a demonstration of confidence, mastery, and respect between two legends who had faced far greater challenges on screen than anyone present in the room could imagine. Jason and Seagal maintained eye contact for a long, tense moment. Then, almost imperceptibly, both men relaxed. Their standoff had reached a silent resolution. The twist wasn't a dramatic action move. It was the mutual recognition of skill, focus, and calm authority. The crowd, witnessing this, erupted in excitement, admiration, and respect. People applauded quietly, whispered excitedly, and shared the moment in real time on social media. The energy in the room had shifted completely. The tension that had dominated every second now gave way to awe. Both Jason and Seagal had shown that true strength didn't need loud displays. It could be quiet, confident, and commanding. In a moment no one saw coming, the silent challenge turned into mutual respect, leaving everyone in the room stunned. And the story was far from over. The encounter that had captivated everyone in the room didn't end with a dramatic confrontation or a loud display. Instead, it concluded with something even more remarkable, a quiet, mutual respect that left every attendee stunned. Phones were still recording, whispers filled the air, and cameras had captured what would soon become a viral moment. Jason Statham and Steven Seagal shared one last, subtle nod, a gesture that spoke volumes. It wasn't about who was stronger, faster, or more dominant. It It was about presence, skill, and the quiet confidence that comes from years of mastery. The crowd, once tense and on edge, now breathed in collective awe, realizing they had witnessed something truly special. As people began to talk again, the story spread quickly. Clips of the silent standoff, the subtle gestures, and the mutual nod went online almost immediately. Within hours, social media was buzzing. Fans from all over the world shared the videos, debated the encounter, and expressed admiration for both stars. Comments poured in from countries across the globe, each viewer sharing their excitement, amazement, and disbelief. And for those watching this video right now, if you could have been in that room, what would your reaction have been? Type your response in the comments. Would you be amazed, inspired, or just stunned like everyone there? Media outlets picked up the story as well. Headlines celebrated the moment not for conflict, but for the display of calm authority, focus, and mutual respect between two legends. Articles described the encounter as a rare, unforgettable demonstration of professionalism and mastery, emphasizing that true skill doesn't require loud gestures or dramatics. It speaks for itself. For the crowd in the room, the energy shifted from tension to admiration. Fans continued to capture footage, share it on social media, and discuss the subtle moves, glances, and gestures that made the moment unforgettable. Event staff, who had initially been on alert, now smiled quietly, realizing they had just witnessed one of those rare Hollywood stories that live on long after the cameras are off. Jason and Seagal, meanwhile, left the scene with the same calm they had maintained throughout. No one was humiliated. No one had to assert dominance loudly. Instead, they had communicated through presence, confidence, and respect. This subtle but powerful demonstration left a lasting impression, not only on the attendees, but also on viewers worldwide who would later watch the footage online. Within days, the story had gone viral. Fans from multiple continents shared the videos, praised both stars, and commented on the grace, restraint, and professionalism displayed in the room. Memes, reaction videos, and discussions spread across social media platforms, further cementing the encounter as a legendary moment in Hollywood history. And in the end, the takeaway was clear. True respect and confidence don't need shouting or dramatics. They come from presence, awareness, and the ability to stay composed under pressure. The silent challenge had turned into a celebration of mastery, leaving everyone involved and everyone watching truly stunned. If you believe true respect and confidence speak louder than words, type legend in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible Hollywood stories that will leave you amazed. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this incredible Hollywood moment with us. Your support means the world. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more amazing content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an epic moment. We appreciate every single one of you. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.